How are we going, folks? Well, we got a bit of a break in the weather today, so I got outside and did a little bit of gardening, bit of weeding around these planter boxes. They've been here now for a number of months, and I've got to start filling them, start using them. And this is what I've done with the first one. Now, I've lined this one with a mulch mat, which is a decomposable mulch mat. Pretty rough. I didn't have any staples with me, so I just screwed it in with some roof screws, hex screws around the edges. Now, it's also lined underneath there, so it doesn't rot out the base too quickly. Ultimately, it will, because moisture will penetrate over time, but look, I'm not too fussed about that. I reckon I'll get at least 4 or 5 years out of it. Now, you've seen the ones I've done at the garden centre in Coburg, and they were jumping out of the beds pretty much instantly, I should say, only because it's a nice microclimate, and we've spoken about that. Well, here it's completely different, the environment, but I'm still going to proceed with planting this out. Now, what I've done first, apart from the liner, the next stage was putting some of this straw in. Now, this is bean straw that I got my hands on about a year ago. Now, it's been sitting in a stockpile as a bale or bales and decomposing slowly. And today, when I actually started to gather it, it was falling apart. Even though it was still strung up or wrapped, it still fell apart. That's because of the weathering, the rain, the heat getting into it. And what I found also, and if I'm lucky enough, maybe I am, maybe I'm not, maybe they moved down, I found a heap of worms. Now, I was hoping these little critters would stay on the surface, but because I disturbed them, they moved away. Oh, bugger me. Anyway, they're in here somewhere, that's for sure. The thing is, I actually found a whole colony here, folks. Now, it's been sitting for a long time, and that's what happens with composting or decomposing. You'll find worms going into your hot compost bin, which is where they shouldn't be, and a cold compost is where they need to be. That's a worm farm. Now, this here will keep decomposing, and over time it'll settle down. But the good thing about it, as it is now that I filled it up, it's lightweight, so it doesn't put as much pressure on the whole framework or the base, but it also becomes a food source for the microbes and the worms to actually break down. Because this, if you look closely, if you can see, there's actual soil particles or composting, which is the castings from the worms themselves. How far down have they gone? There's one. There we go. Found one. Have I lost it already? There we are. So one worm, probably a few hundred. There's another one there. So they are decomposing this whole bale of bean straw, be it all bean straw or garden straw, whatever straw you can get your hands on. At the end of the day, these little critters do a wonderful job, and they populate the microbes as well, folks. So this becomes an excellent food source, and it also breeds, so you get good airflow through the compost pile here as it's working. Now, the next layer that I put on here is going to be just a fine layer of compost, folks, and on top of that we're going to put some planting mix as well. When it comes to filling up your garden beds, if you're going to use a straw underneath, as I have here, you need about 300 ml of actual planting mix, well, growing medium, I should say. If you want to use our planting mix, it's ideal for this sort of stuff. It's got basically everything in it. We've got a blend of compost, manure, charcoal, black grit, superfood, rice hulls in there as well. And I can't think of whatever else is in it, but it's all perfectly balanced. We've done a nice trial on it, excuse me, trial on different combinations, and we found this one to be the best. It does put a little bit of a crust on the surface, so you can mulch it over if you like, but it doesn't stop the penetration. So it's still got the porosity for the water to penetrate through, as you've seen in the ones that I've done at the garden centre. So now we're going to do our trial here, folks. Look, it's been raining on and off. The weather's cold. Look at the way I'm dressed. I've got the beanie on, no cap on, because it's bloody cold. But I'm going to gamble it. I'm going to stick in some tomatoes out here in Lethbridge. What do you reckon? So what I've got down here, now these are either forgotten about or neglected. And what I mean by that is I actually brought them home to plant out about a week or two ago, and I just left them there in this little cardboard container, folks. This is what you get when you go down to the garden centre, in case you forget to bring your little punnets, because we want you to bring in and recycle your punnets, your plastic punnets. And if you forget, don't worry, the team at the garden centre there will give you one of these little cardboards for you to be able to take home. So you get a little lunch pack like that. So obviously you select all your favourites. Now look, I've got some pak choys in here and bok choys that obviously wanted to go to seed because I was stressing out, because little me forgot all about them. And that's what happens. But these are the plugs, to give you an idea how we sell them. We sell them like that. in a lot better state than this one is because I left it out in the weather after those torrential rains, so it copped a beating. Now, they've got the strong root system and it's tough as nails. This is as hard as a typical little twig on the tree. I can squeeze that and it won't break. It is really flexible, pliable, but strong as. So I'm going to plant these out in the garden, but I've also got, now, an old friend of mine popped in and dropped off this little beauty here. It's called George's, or George's Big Tomato. First time I'm growing it, folks. Now, I took this out to get a little bit of sunshine the other day, and again, I forgot all about it. And today, the winds have given it a beating. Now, it's still nice and strong and rigid, but I'm going to actually plant this down a lot deeper. So I'm going to plant it about to there. So all this stem here, where it touches soil, will start to push off new roots, start to grow new, nice, strong roots. So what happens is you get a stronger root system out of the plant. And that there, from the base to the top where my fingers are, is about 200 mil or 20 centimetres or 8 inches. So that is plenty still as far as a growing medium, because we've got about 300 there. And at the end of the day, below that is composting organic matter. And when I say organic matter, it's the straw, but it's going to be a beautiful medium to be able to even grow these plants in there, because I guarantee you the roots will grow down below. And we'll test that out later on once they start growing. So positioning. Now I'm going to do a mix and match here because I've got a few of everything and no favourites. But what I'm going to do, consider this when you're planting your seedlings. Think about where the sun's setting and where the sun rises so that you don't cast a shadow on the garden bed. So for example, if I put my tomatoes on this side, which is the west side, it will cast a shadow over that side there. Now that's okay if I'm planting lettuce, like these ones here, if I was planting something that doesn't need a lot of sun. But for capsicums and things like that, when you do some companion planting and spring onions, keep your tomatoes on the east side. They'll cast a little bit of shadow in the morning, but by 11 o'clock, guaranteed, they'll get plenty of sunlight, and the capsicums in particular need extra heat from the afternoon. So don't cast a shadow on them, otherwise they'll never stay warm enough. They'll never be able to grow big, strong and delicious fruit. I'm also including some nasturtiums in here, folks. A little bit of companion planting, a little bit of colour, warns off the nematodes, and I'm actually planting a few more than usual in a bed like this. I'm going to use my fingers too. These tomatoes, see all that stem there? Now you can either lay it down like that sideways as I've shown you before, or dig down deep and drop it down nice and deep like that. Now I'm planting these closer to the tomato plant, to the base of the tomato plant, because, get it a bit deeper, we're not going to have enough foliage at the base of this tomato plant to be a concern for these little critters to grow. So they should be quite safe like that. We've got a bit of celery in this corner, so that should just spill out the side there if it grows nice and big and bushy. And these are volunteers. These are Greek cos lettuce, folks, that popped up in another garden bed, which I transplanted out. And now dropping in here. But before I put that in here, let's work on this one here. Let's have a look at this. Oh, nice, look at that. Nice healthy root system. Still growing through. This is going to collapse on me, so we're going to have to dig a hole like that. Lucky for me, I've been watching the dogs, how they dig. That's nice and deep. All right, this is literally going to sit on top of the straw down there. Look at that. Now, I am concerned about the weather, and I'll show you what I'm going to do afterwards. So now, folks, a lot of people have their rituals when it comes to planting. When to plant. Some people plant on cup day or after cup day or the weekend after that or something like that. Others go and get a thermometer, stick it into the soil and test the soil temperature, and they count the midnights or the night temperatures, weather temperature that is. If you get 10 or 12 degrees in a row of night temperature, the soil should be warm enough. Now, if you've got organic matter in your garden bed like I've just done in here, we've got the planting mix, which is full of beautiful organic composting, minerals and manures and things like that, it's going to warm up because it's decomposing continuously, as is the mulch underneath there. That's going to warm up regardless. Plus we've got the raised bed there, so you get the heat radiating onto the bed here, which will help it, but we've got no surrounding walls to radiate heat off as we had at the garden centre in Coburg. So naturally it's going to be cooler in here. So I am concerned, and we've got the high winds going on today. So what I am going to do is I'm planting way before my time as far as the weather's concerned and the microclimate in my garden is concerned for my tomatoes. As you can see, I haven't put my cucumbers out, and I'm not putting any capsicum yet. So these are my first tomatoes. 1, 2, 3. And in this corner here for this little big one, or George's big tomato, I'm using this plant sleeve or guard, which is translucent. We've got air pockets in there, so it still gets light. It's not going to sit in the darkness. It's going to breathe and protect it from that nasty wind that we get all the time. So have a look at it in there. Beautiful. Now, next to that, for the other two, which are smaller, I'm recycling the old plant sleeves, which in fact I have to put back over my kale plants because they've been destroyed. I took these off thinking the kale will survive. As no sooner did I take them off, the next day they were eaten to the ground again. So these are going to go back on to the kale, put that on the wrong way, to protect, but also in this bed here, the other two tomatoes that I've got. Now they're narrower, so these are slightly smaller in size, as you can see, by comparison to the big triangular one. That's a robust unit there. It's an amazing piece of work, that actually. And I said before I might put it online. I haven't done so, and I'm going to actually do that or tell the online team. So these are the plant sleeves. These are wax cardboard, and they've already had a couple of months of weathering, and they're still pretty good to use. A little bit darker in here, but that's the least I can do to protect them while this weather still plays havoc on our garden. What's the prediction? More rain? Who knows? For now, we just play with what we have and look after what we do with a lot of tender loving care because we want these to grow big, strong and healthy. Have a look at that, eh? Nice little hothouse. Now folks, if you're watching this as we've just uploaded it, get into your car if you're looking for a big malacca and get yourself down to the garden centre in Coburg. That's if you live in Victoria. If you're visiting Victoria, you're welcome to come there as well. We've got our big malaccas, which I'm going to be taking down to the store to release to the public. It's not a lot there. We've got a batch for today. If there's any left after today, good luck. That's Sunday tomorrow. So for today, Saturday, get down there to get your big malacca. And if you can't, check out our website, vasilisgarden.com. We're still running our 20% off special because people have been asking us to. And the coupon code word is WET. It's been raining, so we're using the coupon code WET to get you 20% off the marked price. If you're a VIP member, you get even a bigger discount, so your prices are even cheaper. VasilisGarden.com for everything you need. Real people, real gardens, real food. From me, Vasili, Maresi. Bugger me, I forgot to water them. Got excited about the big malaccas. Give them a light drink too, folks. You can put a little bit of liquid gold in there. And Nico Butch, that'll keep them going. And you too. And you too. And let's not forget George's big tomato. There we go.